What is up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the video. Before we start, I wanted to let you guys know that I have some new merch up on the BurnDown merch. It's BurnDownmerch.com website. This is the new Malibu sticker. Waited a long time to get artwork and fine artwork that I really liked. I had a guy do this. I found him on Instagram. He did a killer job on the artwork. I made it into stickers. It will be available in t-shirts and hoodies. I haven't got around to putting the art on those things yet, but the stickers are live. They are readily available. It's a 4x3. And then I also made a new BurnDown logo with Uncle Gus. And then, as usual, we got the Forever 3x3 that most of you are familiar with at this point. So, thank you guys for the support. Thank you for watching. Go grab a sticker. Hope you enjoy the video. What is up, everybody? My name is Dane Thompson. Welcome back to another episode of BurnDown. So I'm going to save all the long-winded talk on this video, considering that's what I've been giving you guys. And apparently, a lot of your cars are like mine. They are turds, and you want to make them a little bit nicer, it sounds like. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do like a bodywork kind of 101 deal. We will start with some metal work. I have a patch panel on the passenger side. That was kind of a mouthful. I'll show you how to make that thing from scratch, weld it in, grind it down, and then all the techniques there real quick. We'll just kind of go over how I get this done, and then we will smear some filler. So I'll show you how to mix that, throw it down, although I am not the best at that one. So just so you guys know, I can do fill work, but I usually do minimal fill work. This, we are sculpting corners of a car, so it's really not my forte, but we can stumble along, kind of fill it, and I'll show you how to sand it if the stuff dries in time, which it should, because it's been well over 100 every single day, and I'm expecting it to be at least 100 today. So without further ado, let's get started. We'll go over some of the tools that we use, but first things first, let's go take a look at the damage we're going to fix, and then we'll show you guys how we get that done. Let's take a walk. All right, got my makeshift tent going, and here is the damage on the vehicle. If I had a straight edge, you know, looking down, you can see that it folds. It goes in pretty good. The reason I'm not just gonna stud pull this is because they've already messed with it, and they put so many creases and angles and stuff in here. It looks like they kind of tried to pull it. They just didn't do a good job, or maybe they didn't pull it. I don't know what they did. But if it was just a big concave, say they left this alone and it just dented in normally, they didn't put holes and screw it up more, I could put stud pins in strategic spots and pretty much damn near pull it out, fill it, and be done. But because they punched holes in the panel, they wadded it up so bad, I know from experience that if I pull it out, it'll basically look like Swiss cheese, and we'll still have to fill it. So it's easier for me just to cut it out, weld a new piece in, and then we will fill it, but the filler will be much more friendly, user-friendly. It'll be a lot thinner. So with that said, the big important thing is that this body line right here still matches with the door. Typically, when you do a patch, you don't really want to weld on the edge. Like, try to weld the corner of this, because it makes it hard to grind and you're going to change the shape of it. So what we are going to do is we're going to cut it right to before this edge, so that edge stays the same, and then we're here. Although you can see there's filler, it does wiggle a bit. So maybe first things first, we strip this down, kind of see how we look. But let's go get a few items, and I'll show you how to make the template so we can make our patch. Here are the items we're going to need to get started. First and foremost, this is poster board. I buy it at Staples. The reason I use this is because you can fold it. It doesn't crease up real well. It holds its shape, but it's thin enough to form. A lot of guys use regular cardboard like that. That's just kind of a pain in the ass. That's what I used when I started, and then I moved on to like cardboard boxes from like beer boxes, or like 12 packs of soda. So if you don't have this, but you have like a pack of soda or like beer or something, you can use that cardboard. That works well. These are Neodymium Magnets. I use these a lot in steel applications to hold patterns and things in place, and then even to hold panels when you weld them. So we'll show you that as well. Some form of, oh, there we go. Some form of straight edge. You'll need that to make marks. You'll need a marker to draw on things, probably multiples. These things dry out and go bad. I have so many laying around, it's not even funny. And then last but not least, something to cut your poster board. Okay, so you found a spot you decide you want to cut it out, how do you get started with it? Well, there are two ways to go about this. In this instance, I'm going to show you one way to do it. It's not the right way, the wrong way. This is just the way that I'm going to tackle this, that I learned from experience. So first thing you do is you get your marker out. What I like to do is go to the edge of the damage. So you need to feel your panel. I mean, I know just from looking at this is the edge of my damage here. And then when you feel it and you come down, this actually sucks all the way into down here, but we can pull this out because nobody's messed with it. So I'm gonna call this area the edge of the damage. So we're gonna mark this. And then up here, I'm gonna mark this. I wanna go edge and then past. And then here, same thing, edge and then past. Technically, we should do a straight line, so let's just do that. Your freehand and stuff. So throw your straight edge down. Be a little more professional today, I guess, as I'm showing you guys. So I'd just be winging this if the camera was not rolling. Trust me. Okay, and the same thing on the far edge. So how far back does the damage come? And then luckily this thing is kind of that shape. Like I'm going to show you guys, I'll outline it because it's probably hard to see. That literally is our dent, and then it actually comes down into this area. But this is our meat and potatoes. And it sucks in here, but again, this can be pulled out. So this is what our damage pretty much looks like. That's what we're gonna be cutting out today. So we need to be past the damage when I cut this out, okay? If you cut it in here, you're just gonna have a crinkled potato chip edge and you're not gonna be able to weld anything to it, right? So you need to get somewhere that's nice and flat because the panel you make is gonna be nice and flat. So we wanna be past it. So what we'll do is I got my straight edge. I'm gonna pick a spot past the damage. You can go a little further past too. Don't go right up to the edge because you might end up with that potato chip edge like I said. So here's the damage. I'm gonna go out maybe like another quarter. You're already here, you might as well party, right? So that is it. We'll bring it down and then past again and past up here. Now this is important that you go past, okay? So see how we went past? I didn't just make a square to cut out. You know, we went past that. The reason we're doing that is, like I said, there's two ways. The first way would be you just cut this piece out and then you use that as your template. The way I'm gonna show you, we're gonna make the template and cut a piece in all in one shot, and you're gonna be magic. It's gonna be like that guy with, what is that? Slap chop? You're gonna love my nuts, watch this.
You're gonna love my nuts, watch this.
We went past the damage. This is the outline of our damage. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a piece that's gonna cover this. So that's why we made the lines that go past. It's gonna make sense in a second, trust me. Okay, so this piece will fit over the damage we got. Just cut this boy out. It's like grade school. Got our piece, let's go throw it down. All right, back to our damage piece. Here's our patch panel piece. As you can see, geez, didn't leave myself room for error, huh? It's larger than this, right? So, what I'm gonna show you is if we put this piece over the damage area, like so. Okay, so now if you look at it, looks wonderful, right? We covered it up. Well, because these lines come past here and here and here, what I can do is I can transfer these lines onto my patch panel, right? Now I can cut these together at the same time, and then this will cut a patch panel and cut the junk on the bottom out because I have a line, I know where it is. See, if I fold this over, I couldn't see. So this was just a square, and I put this up and tried to guess. If you get it wrong, you're gonna have an issue, right? So this way, you don't get it wrong. So I'll know exactly where to cut out all the damage. So now that we have this piece, I think this is a decent size. I can go make this piece out of metal, and then I will bring you guys back, and we'll put it on here, and I'll show you how to cut it in. All right, so we got our patch panel piece. Got it cleaned up. It's oversized, barely, but it'll work. The last thing I want to do, though, before I put this in, you'll notice there is a slight body line right here. It's a poor body line, but I think it goes all the way because it's supposed to continue on the door anyways. Yeah, it's not very pronounced. It's kind of rounded off. So I think what we'll do is, let me put the panel up here. I'll get it secured maybe with some magnets, and then we'll mark it off, and then we'll go put this in the brake and put a slight mark in it, and then that should give us kind of a body line. So if I just cut this in, it would just be perfectly smooth. The body line would stop right here. So I want to try to continue that as best I can so we can kind of make it uniform. And that's technically like the right way to do it. It's a lot sharper back here, and then it gets round. So I don't know if that's factory. Like I said, I don't know, guys. It could be kind of rounded out because it got smushed and it kind of took the shape out of it. So let's set this up, and then we'll mark it off, make a little bit of a crease, and then we'll get started. Very professional, right? Right over the leg. This only works if you're wearing Chuck Taylor tennis shoes, by the way. And get that shape to it. See how we go? Look at that. You guys are pros. Technically, I could Cleco this in place to really, like if you're really a stickler and you really wanted to fit it and get that body line perfect and everything. But again, we're gonna cut it in, so I guess you don't really have to Cleco it because we're not working the piece. We're just gonna make it fit. So I can put it in here and make my own line, and then when we come back and put the panel on, I'll line it up where I think that line should actually go. For fun's sake, about there. That's where I'm gonna put my body line in the panel. So I just threw the magnets on. We gave a little shape over our leg. This, from an eyeball standpoint, is kind of where the body line is. So we'll put that in the brake real quick, give it a little bit of a body line shape, and then we'll come back and cut this in. So what we're gonna do is I'm just barely gonna crease it. And that's it. That gives us our little body line. Let's go check it and see how it looks. And we should be able to do good with this. All right. Yeah, I gave it a little bit much, I would say. But the nice thing about metal, just kind of flatten it back out. Now I didn't try real hard on that. I mean, it should be pretty subtle, but this body line in this car is very subtle. So after bending it back a little bit, I'm okay with that. So I dig it. Okay, so there we go. The line is where the body line is. We're still past on all these edges. So now that we've gotten this far, it's time to cut this thing in. But first, we need to get the welder because we gotta make sure it doesn't move. You could do it with Clecos. You could punch holes, put Clecos in, and then you could try to cut around the Clecos, but I find those to be bulky and in the way. They're always right where you need to make a cut. So what I like to do is really get it to the shape I want, and then I tack weld it over the top of the bad piece. Double check everything before that, and then we cut them in. So let's go get the welder, I'll get set up, bring you guys back, show you how we go. Alright, so if you tack one corner first, you can still adjust it. So get one tacked in, get it where you want it, do the other one, start with one side and work your way down. Guess you work your way up too, but... And then I want to keep this body line nice and tight, so I'm going to put, you know, a couple along here. So I'll start by putting one right here. All right, so there you go. So now you can see how this is sucked in a little bit like I was talking about. And the rest of this is all nice and flush, how we want it. So now we can do, just so you don't really get confused, we can transfer these lines to this panel because they go and then extend past. So let's do that. So when we're cutting, you don't start wiggling. You know, you don't start cutting here and then do one of these and go, oh, I missed it. So we'll just make life super simple that way. It's kind of a fail safe. All right, so now we have it. Don't get confused and cut your body line mark out, but we'll cut this line, that line, and we are magic. All right, one last tip before I throw you guys on a quick time lapse. This is a Falcon blade. You want to use a good quality blade, and this one's nice and thin to do this. If you use a crap blade, like Harbor Freight or something, when you turn this on, it'll actually wiggle. I don't recommend you watch it, but I'm telling you that it'll wiggle and the blade size grows. Because when you fire the blade up, it wiggles back and forth, so it actually grows in size. So when you're cutting a panel, it's wiggling and the gap is much larger. So if you get a real quality blade, it's balanced a lot better. They don't grow as much. And I typically recommend using a used cutoff wheel. So this one's pretty new, it's still pretty big. If you use a little bit shorter one, especially for like a precision cut like this, it wiggles even less, right? Because it's structurally, it's stronger because it's smaller. I, however, didn't want to have to change a blade because I have one that's pretty small, but I don't think it'll make it through this whole cut. And then I don't want to have to stop and go get whatever. So we're just gonna do it this way. Last tip when you do this, you need to hold the wheel nice and parallel. If you're cockeyed at all, the distance and the thickness from this panel and this panel is doubled. So if you cut it at an angle, depending on which way you cut it, it's gonna grow or shorten, and they will do it the opposite of each. So if I cut it at an angle this way, this panel is gonna be longer, this panel will be shorter if I cut it at an angle like this, and this panel will technically be shorter. So you wanna cut it as parallel as possible. That way, the distance is only the distance of the blade, which is a good distance for butt welding, turns out, as long as you have a nice blade. It's not the end of the world if you get the gap too big. It is what it is. Ultimately too, if you do screw this up, because I'm not planning on screwing it up, but say you cut it and you take this panel off and the other piece, and then this one's real sloppy, it doesn't fit in there, you can always go a little bit bigger than what you had. So if you did the process over and then got a nice clean cut, it'll still work. It's not the end of the world. You're just gonna have a little bit bigger patch panel. Sometimes I recommend that if it gets way too sloppy, because a good fitting panel is gonna be easier to weld in than a bad fitting panel, and you're just gonna put more heat in the panel and cause yourself more issues. So if you cut it and this thing is piss poor, it doesn't really fit for nothing, I would recommend trying again. Try the cut portion again, make sure you hold the blade straight, all that fun stuff. Also, I know you're gonna try to hold it straight. You don't wanna be over here like this looking down that blade. If this thing pops, guess who's gonna be in the way? So you need to make sure you hold it straight, but you need to watch your cut from an angle like this. Now when this thing comes apart, because they will, trust me, you don't wanna be on the receiving end, especially when you don't have a guard on there. So I get a lot of flack because there are guys that are like, hey, you know, you're gonna kill yourself. And I have had these explode, and I have caught a bit of shrapnel. Luckily, knock on wood or Bondo, that nothing terrible has happened so far, but also you do not want to be in line with this blade watching what it's doing, right? If you are, you're in the danger zone. So you don't want to see where this thing's cutting ever. You want to be off to the side watching it like this, seeing where it's cutting. So that is my safety tip. When you're an idiot and you don't have a safety guard on there like me, do not look straight down that blade when it's rolling, because you can catch pieces of shrapnel. So that's it. Those are my safety tips and advice. Happy cutoff wheel cutting. Here's another safety tip too. When you're cutting this thing and a spark bounces around and it goes into your goggles or your safety glass or whatever, and it gets real bright like a flash, like you just got flashed by a welder, that means the spark actually landed in your eye 9 times out of 10. So you need to stop right away and go flush it out, like immediately. Turn the grinder off, I don't care where you're at, stop what you're doing, go flush your eyeball, double check, make sure nothing is in there. Chances are you probably won't feel it right away. You'll just think it flashed, I'll do one of these, and then you'll keep working. It rusts, it gets stuck, then you go to the hospital. Ask me how I know. Been there, done that. So I've dug lots of things out of my eyes. Thankfully nothing has blinded me, but when you see the really bright flash and then you look around, you can still see and you're good. You're like, oh, I'm good. No, you're not. You need to go rinse your eyeballs out. Trust me. We've done it. So on that note, have fun, happy cutting, be safe. Let's get some panels cut in. All right, well, as things would have it, I screwed up, technically. So I will share that with you guys because chances are you may too. So let me get the magnets and throw this in here. Okay, so we scored like an 80% on this test, right? I got out of hand on this one, which is funny because this is probably the worst one to get out of hand on because like I told you guys, I didn't really want to be over here on this edge. It's not the end of the world, you know, we can weld it up, so it's not that bad, but this is not good. See where my line is, and then the thing bounced and I took off to the side, so I stopped. So that's why you saw me take this off and then cut it without this over it. So I'm gonna take this and then grind this down on this line right here a little bit to get it to fit in place. But all in all, we're not too bad. So you can see that the cut's nice and tight. Obviously this one's real tight because we don't have anything over here, so I'll just shave it down so it fits good. But yeah, see here, this is where we got a little wonky. I'll be able to weld it up. If your welding skill set's not that great, you know, it is what it is. So technically your whole patch panel should look really cool like this. Again, this is my fault for getting that close to the edge. I should have came back a little bit, but we had the damage all the way up to the edge, essentially right here. So it was hard to leave any meat, but maybe leave a little more meat, and then once you take this panel off, you can get pliers or something and straighten it up. So that's what I should have done. That's what you should do if your damage goes all the way to the edge like that. But this is a predicament we're in, so we'll fix it. So let me grind that down a little bit. We'll refit the panel, but all in all, you can already see we look much better. And then this bows in a little bit. We'll pull that out to meet up with this panel. I can put a stud or whatever on there and bump it out a little bit. So all in all, we're not too bad. Here is the fit of the panel. Pretty happy with it. The gap is, you know, that's good for welding. It rolled over on the edge, which is not ideal, but you can see the gap still isn't terrible. We can get that all taken care of. It gets a little wide down here, but it is what it is. Okay, so there you go. You just beat on it, shape it a little bit, and Bob's your uncle. So happy with that fitment. And then let's get this thing tacked in. We'll use the magnets to hold it, throw a couple tacks in place, weld it up, and then show you how to grind it down. And then we can go spread some filler or something. So these dudes are welded. Pushed in a little bit, so push it in when we're welding. So nice and flush. So we are good for the most part. Using the flat edge on the dolly to keep the panels in line. We're trying to, I should say. Okay, if you get a little flathead like this guy, this panel's further back than this panel, and I want it to come up a little bit. So if I put this in there, I can use it as like a little lever, and I can push on it and hold this panel up, in theory, to make it nice and flush while we weld. Pretty good sized gap though. Like so. Try not to weld your screwdriver to your panel. Happens though, life happens. All right, here we go. We're gonna sand this down. For those of you guys that complain that I put tacks in here and then I came back and scored the panel, this is all getting fill work anyway. If you're really pissed, you could basically weld those up and grind it down. I'm not gonna get all that crazy. So, tools needed. This is called a flap wheel. Some people call it a cat's paw, but essentially it's just little pieces of sandpaper overlapped and then backed by like, I believe it's fiberglass little disc or whatever. This one is Harbor Freight. I usually get these at other places as well. This one is 80 grit or 80M, whatever that works out to be. So get one of these. If you use like a hard grinding disc or anything else, your life's gonna be terrible. So what we do is you wanna keep it flat on there, right? And kind of grind it. Well, that is true, but also if you're flat, it might rock, you know, and you might start hitting the panel here or there. So what I like to do is I like to kind of keep it up on a bit of an angle, and then that ensures that just the tip of this is going to touch where you need to knock it down. So I go around the whole panel, kind of knock it all down as I go, and then what we're going to look for is anywhere where maybe we didn't overlap good, or maybe it looks like it's overlapped but you hit the top and it goes away and then there's a hole. So we're basically just going to knock it down, kind of look for pinholes as we go, and we'll weld those up as we go. I don't want to finish grinding it down and then try to weld a pinhole, because you're going to start digging the material down, and then when you find out you go to weld a pinhole, you're going to burn a much bigger hole. So if you find one, you need to stop, keep your welder handy, patch it, and then move on and grind it down. So let me grind on it a bit, and then we'll kind of show you a little section, and then we'll just time lapse the rest and show you what it looks like done. Wear your goggles, and then technically I like to do a respirator too, so you don't get the black boogers, but I'll leave it open in case I have to yap to you guys. The pie hole, that's what I was leaving open. So here we go. So we got a dude right there. Let me keep going and we'll come back and fill that in before we get too aggressive. Okay, so I don't know if you can see where I circled, there's kind of a pinhole there. So I'm just gonna weld him up. Looks like right here as well. See where these two welds didn't really meet. Make sure we put a weld in there. And the rest of it looks pretty decent for the most part. So what I'm gonna do now is I'll just stitch these two in, and I'm gonna finish grinding this. One last tip before I go. When you are grinding this, you need to stay moving. This is pretty thin sheet metal, sheet steel. If you're grinding and it starts changing color, you're putting too much heat. Like when you're welding and it starts bluing. So if you're grinding and it starts bluing in the area where you welded it together, that means that's getting real thin. So chances are you've probably gone kind of too far. So people always wonder like how to gauge it, like see how this is blue from the welding? Well, it'll start bluing again on the grinder if you're laying on it too much and it gets thin. It gets thin, it starts bluing, you need to get off it real quick. Chances are that's already probably too thin. Depends on how quick it turned blue. I just know from experience because I blued and blown through lots of panels. And then on this one, I'll grind it off of the edge, grind it off the edge, then we'll come back and try to zip it down and make it somewhat round where I actually had to lay on the edge. I'll show you the finished product. Let me stitch those up, grind it down. We'll show you guys, and then we'll move back over to our friend back there, the corner. All right, just like that, a little bit of movie magic. Bingo, bango. So, here we go, from the right to the left. You can see we kind of captured the body line a little bit in there. And there's still a little bit of an edge. This whole thing's gonna need to get filled. So this is sunk in a little bit, and this is proud a little. This is well within filler tolerance. This, you know, with the shape of that and how deep that thing is, you know, how three-dimensional, I don't like to fill stuff that deep, although we're gonna do it over there. So, hell, why not, right? This is what it should look like though if you're doing a decent repair, and then you can go from there. It wiggles a little bit, the gap gets a little big because of the damage and how it was. Again, we are a race car. This is good enough for what I'm trying to accomplish. we're good with that. So we'll move on to this. You guys don't need to watch me strip this down. Let me make some Bondo go away. Here, we'll bring it back here. We'll bring this back, clean this up. We are on it. We are rolling. Hopefully this isn't like a tooth jerking, terrible bodywork video. I'm trying, guys, but bodywork is boring, tedious. I think the only thing worse than doing it is watching it, so you guys are all nuts. But let me make some Bondo disappear. We'll come back. Well, at this point, I wish this video was live because I would beg somebody to come over here and take my tools away, but I can't control myself. And there we are. So I think that one's gonna come out too. It'll make life easier, less to tape off. But mainly I took this out because of the fill work, and we can move this back. It's actually not that bad, so I don't feel too bad about this. We'll move it back a little bit, and I'll check it with the trim, and we'll be okay. And we'll bump this out. I took my stuff off. Maybe we can kind of beat on it from in here, so I think it'll make life a little bit easier. Survey says, you know what? The majority of the shape is actually there. It's just really poor work on their part. So this is a little more round, and then it got pushed in, but we didn't really lose this too bad. And then the panel got ripped. I think it got hit or pushed in or something here, and it folded it, and they overworked it or ripped it somehow, trying to rip this, pull it out. I think drilling holes and pulling on it. Then they did an awesome job of brazing it. So this is all pretty rough in here. This is a compound curve, so this is actually a difficult piece. Not terribly difficult, but this is harder to make than that piece that I showed you guys earlier. But I think we're gonna have to do something in this area here, because obviously that is messed up, and this is broke too, so I'll have to weld that. But if I cut this portion out and then kind of bump this where it should go, and then just weld a patch in. Let me see, let me bump this in a little bit. That looks like it's okay. So we do a little bit of hammer and dolly work real quick, and I guess I can explain some of that, but this is really kind of not a good area for that to explain it, because they're just kind of beating things back into shape. If it was a real dent, I could show you guys how to remove it, but let me just knock this around. We'll save the hammer dolly stuff for another video when I have just an actual dent we can remove. And other than that, we got one hole here and here we're not going to address because we don't have to. And then this is still pretty good. And then again, I know this is bad, so we're just stopping here because I don't want to go looking for trouble. I already know that this is a problem area. So I'm happy with this for the most part. Let me figure out what to patch here. I'll bring you guys back. Maybe I'll make a patch panel real quick and show you guys, and then we'll cut it in the same way we did over there. So here we go. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I've decided on, considering you guys are probably all pretty new to metalwork. This is called a compound curve. It curves in and then up, and then it has a radius here. So, I mean, well, technically, it's not, this portion would be a compound curve because the radius here and all of these, right into here is just a curve. This is simple. This is simple. This edge gets tricky to make something like this. So, what I've decided to do, the easiest course of action, and something that you guys could probably understand in metal working 101, I guess, today, is flat pieces, right? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you a simple way to get kind of through this. We're gonna have to body work it no matter what, so it doesn't have to be completely wonderful. It just has to not have a lot of that action in there. We'll be okay. So what I've decided to do is we're actually gonna cut the piece out first, because we can get to the backside. So then we can lay a piece of our poster board over, put the magnets down, and trace it from the back this way, and that'll give us the piece we need to make. If we lay a piece over now and try to make a piece, that's hard because this isn't smooth, so it's not really gonna lay flush, and then cutting it in on this angle and the way that this is done would damn near be impossible, and you would leave big gaps trying to go around a radius. The other thing we're gonna do to simplify it is we're gonna leave this shape here. We're gonna make our cut on the inside of this, and then we're gonna leave this edge and make our cut on the inside. Obviously, you know, to here, we'll get a little bit closer, and then we'll just bring it up and around. We'll stay away from all those edges. That'll hold the structure so we don't really, you know, buckle or collapse anything for the most part. And then we can just get around everything that way, and that we should be able to make that with one flat piece. I'm gonna actually try to stay off of this maybe kind of come up into here. I don't know. We'll see where we get, because this is where stuff starts to get tricky. So I'll marker it off. We'll cut this section out, and then we'll make a panel. So this is kind of opposite of doing that, but that's the best course of action for something like this, because it's not just a flat, straightforward, cut it through type piece. We'll cut it out, and then we'll make a piece to fit in and weld it in. All right, here you go. So this obviously flips around and fits in there. This is my piece. We'll cut it out, kind of test fit it before we make it out of metal, and then we will make it out of metal and see how we go. We'll try to fit it in there and weld it as we go. Okay, so we put a little bit of curve in it, and that's my final revision to it. So it's pretty close, and like I said, we'll just work it as I go. So I'll put some tacks in, and we'll use like a screwdriver or something to push it so the edges meet up. But this is going to be much better than the damage that we took out. So let me get that thing tacked in, kind of weld it up, and we'll bring you guys back and show you. All right, the welder is still running, but as you can see, the general shape is there. Like I said, I worked it as I went. I had to push this edge out. Just use this and tapped on it, and then use the tacks as a dolly. So say this edge is low, but this edge is good. You tack it, and then you massage it from the back with this, so that way that portion doesn't move. But anyway, you can see we look good. I mean, this is well within filler tolerance, way better than what we had. So let me weld this up, weld that up, weld these uglies up, grind it down, knock it down. Oh, get rid of those boys. We'll bring you guys back, and we're not gonna do any field work today. We'll wrap this video. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids of all ages, we have come to the part of this series where I show you the world's greatest patch panel ever made this afternoon, right? Ta-da! Just kidding. It's okay. But the thing is, just like I said this morning, we're gonna fill this. I can fill this and work with this, fill this and work with it. We've got some action here, but there's no holes, and then filler will just go right in there and live happily ever after. So little action still on there, but all in all, again, this is race car. I'm happy with that shape. I can live with that. I can fill this and still go to bed that night and sleep like a baby. Oh, and then I filled those two guys in. We have the rest of those all to go, both sides on the doors. But we're gonna save that for another day, because the sun is going down. I'm gonna clean it for today. Tomorrow is another day as well. And then I think we're gonna get the quarter patch panels. Hopefully we should get them before the sun goes down today. So maybe we can work on those in the next video, because you guys want to see how to do an actual patch piece. So we will do that. And if not, I got plenty of stuff to strip and keep on rolling. Got a few holes to shave, and you know the drill. Like, subscribe, share. Let me know if this video was like pulling teeth, if you didn't get through it. If you get into the video, I guess it doesn't matter at this point because you already watched it. I'll put it in the comments. If it's like pulling teeth and it sucks, I'm not making these videos anymore, because it's not my favorite thing to do. But you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share. I am out. Until next time, I'm out. What is up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the video. Before we get rolling, really quick, I want to share with you guys, I have a brand new batch of stickers that are live on the BurnDown merch site. So it's burndownmerch.com. Go check it out. They're a couple bucks a piece. They help support the channel, help support the cause, make this car uglier and faster. Well, prettier now and faster. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check out the new Malibu stickers. They are killer. They turned out great. They're like $2 a piece. And we've also got these dudes here. So go check them out on the site. What is up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the video. Before we start, I wanted to let you guys know that I have some new merch up on the BurnDown merch. It's burndownmerch.com website. This is the new Malibu sticker. Waited a long time to get artwork and fine artwork that I really liked. I had a guy do this. I found him on Instagram. He did a killer job on the artwork. I made it into stickers. It will be available in t-shirts and hoodies. I haven't got around to putting the art on those things yet, but the stickers are live. They are readily available. It's a 4x3. And then I also made a new BurnDown logo with Uncle Gus. And then, as usual, we got the Forever 3x3 that most of you are familiar with at this point. So, thank you guys for the support. Thank you for watching. Go grab a sticker. Hope you enjoyed the video.